ThePodTV.com.
I'm already into the 420, damn it!
So what are you doing? Nothing? Why not?
Trying to get on this Lifestyle Radio website.
Sounds like a cool website.
Yeah, it's alright. Oh, wait, I might have it.
You might have it.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
The opinions expressed during this show are those of the individual participants and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of their associated organizations or Lifestyle Radio.
You like music, you like weed, well, we gonna be good friends indeed. This is how much I like more than smoking trees. They'll make you dance the do-si-do and teach you how the chiba grows. Smoke a bowl on the 420 radio show. On Lifestyle Radio.
No one ever sings anymore.
I was.
Were you? You know,
Yeah,
you can
I
unmute
was.
your mic and sing along now, you know.
Oh, man.
Okay,
Sorry. Everybody, next time I'll try and remember.
There you go. So, today, welcome to the 420 Radio Show. I'm Al, and Marcel has invited one of his buddies, Charles, to the show. And I don't know who this Charles guy is, but apparently he's very interesting. So, we will be chatting with Charles and doing our news and all that stuffs. So I'm gonna throw the mic over to Marcel and let him introduce Charles. And
Is Darcy going to be doing his grow segment?
Well, I don't know. Darcy just left. So
We'll have to put Darcy on the spot. So no, today we got
him do a grow
Charles.
session in front of Charles. There you go.
Yeah. Well, no, we'll get Darcy to talk about breeding cannabis,
Okay. So go ahead. You're on.
and then see if Darcy wants to argue with him.
There you go.
Just for a grow segment. How does that make sense? No, Charles Scott has been known pretty much worldwide under the name Reeferman Seeds. But, of course, like anything that's really friggin' awesome, fakes out there kind of steal your idea, your shit, your name, and try and make money off of your hard work. So Charles is coming out with a new venture, and I'll let Charles tell everybody what it's about.
Actually, we rebranded to Scott Family Farms like close to a decade ago for a couple different reasons, largely because of the fake Reeferman site. When I went to work for licensed producers, I could not sell seeds. It was part of my contract. And so I told people that I'm sorry, I can't sell seeds. And so we shut down the Reeferman seed websites. And of course, a fake popped up, right? But also the whole Reeferman being a cannabis superhero and stuff, it really didn't really fit with the new Health Canada outline around regulations and cannabis brands and, you know, any type of marketing that could appeal to kids, right? So we kind of looked at that, and we've always been a family farm. So we kind of made that transition at least 8 years ago and did all kinds of press release. We even ran some ads in High Times and stuff. But yeah, we've been in the business since about 1995. Actually, our slogan is getting the world high since 1995.
Right on.
We were really the first Canadians to win the Cannabis Cup. We won in 2004 with Love Potion 1, and then we won in 2005 Best Overall with Willie Nelson, and then we won the High Life Cup in 2006 with Pink Kush, which Pink Kush is by far my most well-known strain that I've bred. It's become kind of infamous globally.
That's really loud, Marcel.
I was just on a show out of Colorado, and I had no idea that even in Colorado, the popularity of the pink, I always thought that it would wane, and it really hasn't. It's really an interesting. We actually are just working on a new pink line right now. Pink's mother was a clone only called King, a Vancouver Island strain, and I finally, after what blighted in 2003, so after 20 years, I bred a King BX3 line And so it's the first time we've been able to really successfully breed the same genetics that are in Pink Kush on the male side. So the new Pink Kush 2.0, representing 20 years, actually is my original Ultimate Pink back cross with its mom, but in a male line we call the King BX3 or back cross 3.
Right on.
Yeah.
Pink Kush is popular here on the east coast of Canada too, if they can find it. The problem is here, traffic in the dispensaries, people will say, well, I only want Kush. And you ask them what Kush, they don't know any Kushes. All they want is Kush because that's what they've been told to get. That's what's the best, yada, yada, yada. So I always have fun with them because how many different Kush strains are there out there?
I mean, when I first started working with like OG, for example, OG was one strain. And now everything's called OG that's coming out of California, right? But at one point in time, there was one strain called OG. It's been kind of crazy. There was a research study published, I don't know, in the last year or so that tested strains from different producers across Canada. And out of everything they tested, Pink Kush was the most consistent genotype found in the country. And I think that's because we just gave out so many of our clones from coast to coast when I was on Vancouver Island. But I thought it was really interesting. I read that it was published last year, and it was it surprised me, but it didn't at the same time, because I think that Canadians really know their pinks, right? And again, we just handed out the clones for years and years.
You gave me seeds years ago. EPK.
The early purple, ironically, I was just going through a greenhouse today.
Yeah.
And I found an early purple Kush in the mix that I didn't know we still had standing. It's still around.
I love that strain because I basically called it my cold medicine. If I had a clogged sinus or anything like that, that's all I would do was light up one of those. That would drain my sinuses so quick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's still. We actually won a Treating Yourself Cup, I think, in like 20. I don't even remember, but we won a Treating Yourself Cup.
It was a long time ago.
With that one, a bunch of years ago. Another popular strain that came out of our camp that's across Canada is the Red Congolese. It's maintained its popularity. I was actually just talking to Bubble Man about it while I was waiting for the show to start. Sorry, you guys, my bully's being a bully.
Dog fight.
I got $20 on the big guy.
So the early purple, you're talking about some of my real.
I was just checking out your website.
Mm-hmm. The Scott Family Farm website.
What did you mute his mic?
I was, I see you got. No, looking at your memories of Afghanistan.
Your Wi-Fi is cutting out, Darcy.
Yeah, the MOA. So MOA started in my oldest catalogs as Double Afghan Slam, and it was a Kabul cross an Afghan 1 type variant, a Dutch Afghan. So Kabul is one of my oldest Afghani plants. That actually came from a family member in your neighborhood, actually, Marcel. And it was just a pre-Soviet Afghan that was grown outdoors in Nova Scotia. And I crossed that with one of the first Afghan 1 types I got. And then later on, we crossed it with Petrolia Headstash, and that became Traz, or Triple Afghan Slam. And then we crossed it with Sari Pool, which is a landrace Afghan. So it's a 4-way stacked Afghan strain. And it surprised me because I'm not a huge indica guy. I'm a sativa freak, but I just had Jawdry, and I had some other guys from New York City that are known, breeders of the Cuban black haze and stuff. And they actually absolutely went crazy for the memories of Afghanistan that was grown here in Jamaica.
We've got a question from somebody on Facebook. And you'll see it if you look up at the screen there. It says, what strains do you know have the highest resin content?
I would say my King, the King BX3, and which is the mother of Pink Kush. It's probably one of the biggest resin content that I have, and also the finest hash plant I've ever worked with. I won the 2006 420 Cup for hash made from the King, and it's a hard one to beat. It's probably the best resin plant in the collection.
That'd be a good one to try in Musquisher.
Oh, for sure, absolutely. Anybody that knows the King, well, everybody that's tried Pink Kush, its mother was the King originally, but the King on its own is a stellar plant. It's a long flowering indica. You're talking 79 to 81 days, but it's high yield and crazy flavors and potency. Just outstanding plant.
You know, and I've had this thing for a couple of years now. I don't use it that often. It's just me, but when somebody comes into the office, they're like, "Is that a fucking squisher?" I'm like, "Yeah." They don't get that the no solvent thing. It's pure. You get your terpenes. You get everything in there that you don't get from isolates and distillates and thatolates and idiots and blah blah blah.
I'm not a huge fan of the process. So I don't know. In 2020, I bought all this equipment when I was doing a project on Salt Spring Island, and for me, like, I appreciate the product, but I don't appreciate the process very much.
It is an art. It's an arduous, I think, is the right word, process. It's got another comment here from a Facebook user. You want to read that, Marcel? If you don't.
It says most strains on average yield 50 to 60 grams of oil per pound, but the purple water yielded 100 grams per pound.
Don't know who that is because they haven't accepted the name thingy, but that's okay.
Because I've make oil, I would say 50 to 60 grams of oil per pound is about average for outdoor, and maybe some trim mixed in. But if you use a power trimmer and you collect all of that fine keef and you throw that in, that'll boost it up.
You know what? I'm not sure how you accept. I'm going to ask Al Graham that tomorrow. He's been playing with that new feature. So next time I will know.
Yeah, I don't know how to accept it either. But 100 grams per pound is a really good return. So your King, you're saying it's really good for hash. What kind of return rate do you get for hash?
Man, I can't answer you that right now. It's been a long time since I've made King hash. I've been growing commercial products for the last 8 years, mostly EU GMP to export to the German market.
Right.
So I've literally not been doing a whole lot of extraction. I've been cultivating medical cannabis flower. So if I don't want to throw out a number because I couldn't tell you. I just know that it was the highest returning plant that I had ever done in my experience, making hash.
Yeah.
But those numbers, no, man, I don't have a clue. I'm about to make a big run of bubble for the first time in a long time right now, because I'm literally harvesting a 1.2 acre parcel of seeded flower right now.
Oh yeah.
So I'm going to be running a whole lot of bubble shortly. But no, I'm not going to sit here and throw out numbers. I have no clue, man. It was the highest yield and return and the highest quality hash that I've ever had. And also, I was talking to Bubble Man about it. It also was a plant that would give the same quality until it would stop giving. So I had other hashes where you get your first wash and the second wash wouldn't be, nearly as good. Or, when you continue to push the the king. It gave stellar product until it just gave up giving product. So yeah, it was definitely my best hash plant. But in terms of yields per pound, I have no idea.
See, that's one that I would like to try and see what I could get for a return.
I'm doing my first round of hash tomorrow. We'll see what happens. I've got like about 3.
Your first round?
Yep. First time. I did it with Michael, and that's all I've done it.
Oh.
Right.
I thought you did it on your own.
No. This is me and Dean are going to do it tomorrow. So, anyways, John Roberts from Michigan. Hi, John. He is he works with the Cannabis Cancer Project in Michigan, I guess.
And he's been making RSO for cancer patients for the past 15 years.
Thank you, John.
Good for him.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We need all the oil men we can get, right? Legitimate oil men. Let's throw out that there. Anyways, so like I said, I'm going to try my first round of hash this weekend, and we'll see.
Just get lots of ice.
Yeah, I'm going to get 4 bags of ice. I got 2 rounds, I think. I've got 3/4 of a 5-gallon pail full of bud, leaf, and like sugar leaf and bud, and yeah, and stemming from 2 years of pot. I brought some with me that I had from the farm still, and yeah. So we'll see what happens. It'll be interesting.
One other good hint?
What?
Do it outdoors.
I was going to do it on... It's so nice. I was going to do it on the patio this weekend. Yep. I have a cordless.
The cooler, the better.
It's only 15 outside, dude.
I'm the idiot that does demos of making hash in 90-degree weather in Harvest Fest. So
yeah, true enough, and I've seen that.
Hmm.
I've seen that. Yeah, I think that I almost fell asleep in my chair. It was so hot. Oh God, it was hot.
Even last year's.
I got that when I got there the year that I went. When I got there, it was so hot. I parked my car. I turned the air conditioner on and had a nap in the back. You remember that, Marcel?
Yep. Yeah. It gets warm, but
it doesn't get warm like that here.
No, not there.
He's asking, what solvent are you using? Solvent for what?
For extraction.
Oh, for
I don't
extraction.
talk about solvents.
Yeah. They're illegal here in Canada.
That's illegal to do this in Canada.
Yes, unfortunately. Yep. Next question.
Yeah. That was an easy question. So, let's talk about some of the work that you've been doing in Jamaica, Charles, because I've been following along. And you've done something for the Rastafarian community, haven't you?
Yeah, we've been working on the reggae cut. So lamb's breath is almost extinct in Jamaica.
That's a nice one.
And there's so many, strains going around with that name attached to it. Not even in Jamaica so much as around the world, but really have nothing to do with it. Here on the island, it's become nearly extinct. There's only 2 different Rasta organizations that maintain cuttings of the original plant, what they consider and what the old Rastas consider to be the original long time or the original lamb spread. And it's a super long flowering plant. So I've been working on preservation of that. So we outcrossed it with an African, and now we're back crossing the F1 back into the clone. It's a super long flowering plant. We're talking like 22 to 24 weeks.
Wow.
And it's they call it the sacrament clone because they use it within the church as a sacrament. So my friend Baya from Rega came to me and asked me if I could work a preservation line around it. And it was actually surprising to me just how inbred it was. Obviously, in preservation without much management, right? And it came from the Maroon community, which is sort of like an indigenous community here in Jamaica. It's it's a great project, and I've enjoyed growing it. It's certainly a lot more low in vigor when it begins flowering than I anticipated, because it still has some vigorous growth in veg. But it literally sat there and didn't throw pistils until a Neville haze was close to halfway done. That's the kind of,
Wow.
Yeah, and it doesn't stretch much when flowering is initiated, but I sincerely think that's just because of them trying to preserve it without much forethought or understanding.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
The veg time. What's the longest you can go with veg, i.e. a mom, right? Before it's really a waste of time to go any further with it. Like I've heard people have, like Haley's mom has the mom for Haley's Comet, the real Haley's Comet. I don't know if she still has it, but she used to. And how long can you keep that going? Or is it better just to seed it and then
alive before it drifts? Or before it...
No. How long can you keep a mother alive?
Yeah.
Is his question.
So I understand that, but really I look at a mother and a clone kind of one and the same. But if you're keeping an individual mom, from a clone, it depends on your conditions, the size that you're growing it at, the size of the container, a lot. But I don't like to hold moms, say, longer than 4.5 to 6 months without rejuvenating them from a fresh cutting.
So when you get to the point where it's time to let that one go, what do? Do you let it go to bud? Do you let it seed to keep?
It totally depends. What are you asking me? What I do?
No, I'm just talking in general, because I'm I'm trying to get all of the information I can as I'm going into this actual room thing, right?
We give our mums away to people that want to put them in their yards.
Yeah.
We can move them outside ourselves. It just depends, as long as they're not disease prone or you're not killing them because of some, issue.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of times we would move them out, and if they really took off and were still flexible and not woody, not real brittle type of moms, once they got outside and they flourished in the, when we transplanted them, then we might very well use them to carry seed. It just depends. Like, for example, when blueberry strains and blue family strains start to get a little bit older, they get real brittle, and the wind will just crack them down right away.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is that the same kind of thing with tapes? The cassette tapes, the more times you record something on that tape, it degrades and degrades and degrades, right?
Yeah, well, I think some different strains just have different makeups, and the blue family is one that I use as an example because it's always a little bit more brittle and prone to breaking. So when you get an older mom that has the blue family in it, typically those are more problematic, and I might just kill them, right? But there's other things,
or your plants.
Like some of my hazes, man. We've had 70 kilometer-an-hour gusts constantly for months, and my Oregon purple tie hazes snapped, fell apart, and a lot of our pure haze bloodlines take the wind and just bend down. And
well, okay, so here's a good change of conversation. I live above the 50th parallel.
Yep.
Okay, yep. I'm up at the very northern tip of Lake Superior in Terrace Bay, Ontario. Mm-hmm. We're just having our melt now. It's 15 degrees. I went in the greenhouse till December, but it started getting too cold for them. When was it, Marcel?
November.
Yeah, November. So that's why it was either bring them in, take what I got, or put up a greenhouse, right? And so my question is, I'm literally on a hill. I can see the lake, and the wind just comes right up. What kind of strains would you suggest for up here? It's windy. It's nice and bright and sunny.
You have to excuse me for a minute. I have to deal with this dog. Okay?
Sure. Yeah, you go ahead.
Guys. Yeah.
We'll wait.
Al,
Yes.
I start mothers every winter,
Okay.
cut my clones.
Yes.
Then my mothers go out and flower.
Which is what I think I'm doing.
It's the ideal way to do it.
Yeah.
That way you don't have to keep mothers over the winter.
But what I was getting at is,
What I do.
do people keep them for years?
That's what I do too.
No.
Some people do, yes.
Yeah. Oh,
Some
okay.
people have mother rooms, and they'll keep it for as long as they can to preserve that strain.
That's what I was getting at. Like, how long can you go? How many years can you take a plant before it's not even worth utilizing it?
Hey guys, sorry about that.
No problem at all.
I don't think that can be answered, Al, because
nobody would know. Nobody knows.
No, it would depend on how well you take care of that plant as a mother plant.
Okay.
Hey guys, you know the King I mentioned when we made the King BX3? So that clone was alive from like 1989 until 2014.
Wow.
Finally drifted so hard that and we saw it beginning to drift. And that's when we made we already made the BX1 and we made the BX2. And then I made the BX2 and passed the seeds off to a friend in Quebec because I had to leave the country. And he saw the drift in his clone. I said, hey, man, if your clone's not drifting, great. He saw it, and he actually made the BX3s and gave them back to me. And then his clone died off, too. So literally 1989 until 2014, that's how long the King clone, which is Pink Kush's mom, was around.
So what happens then? You either have seeds or it's gone.
Yeah, and you have to manage the production of those seeds right to actually breed the line, like to get true representation, right? So sometimes F1s really don't represent what the mother was. So you have to manage that genetic properly. The BX2 lines, I'm actually growing them now. I got some really old seeds from 2003 to go, and we're growing them. And the BX2 still look good, but the BX3 really, really shines compared to the BX2. So again, clones will drift. The UBC chemo also. It was in my first indoor garden.
Ooh, I like chemo. I've had that before.
But it's it drifted hard, and the best representation of that now would be in my Wakeford strain. But it drifted as well. I don't know the history or how long it was alive when I got it, but I got that strain in 1990.
Wow.
So we had the UBC until probably I could access it until 2003, 2004. So I'm assuming that it drifted out, by that time. So clones can last for a lot of years, but I think that and also handing them around, you don't know when you hand something to somebody or get it back from somebody, you don't know what it's been exposed to, in those hands.
Or what it really is. I mean, unless you're getting it from the germinator, the grower or what do you call it? The breeder directly, you really don't know what it is, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like I was telling you earlier, there's that published article recently about they did tests all over Canada on different strains like Blue Dream. Like in Blue Dream, they didn't find any LP that was selling the same as Blue Dream. But the Pink was one of the most consistent tests nationwide, and I think that's again because of the source of the genetics being Vancouver Island, and us just handing them out to everybody, right? Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's a lot of there's a lot of different plants that are floating around that I think aren't necessarily what the representative as. That's for sure.
Yeah, we call that crop king. Crop king.
Ooh, Marcel, where's my bleep button?
I
don't bleep me at all because
I'm at the owner of Crop King, and you want to know something, guys? And this is true that all of those seeds that he was selling were coming from greenhouse seeds.
There are only two. Yeah. There are only two products on the market that I have never liked or wanted to do anything with or about. That's one of them, and now we're finding out why I don't like raw.
Hey, Raw makes good cones, though.
I don't like the paper, though. It gives me a headache. It doesn't matter if it's a cone or a paper. I'm going to get a headache if you roll it in a raw paper. It's just how it is. We lost Darcy again. Goodbye, Darcy.
What about Canadian lumber paper? Because they've got 3 different grades of paper.
I like the hippie, and I found a place that has them here. Thank God.
Yeah.
I like them, and when I posted that I found them up here, okay, a lot of people had some comments, including Sarah Sunday, who has a lot of different papers that she's tried and obviously she has a brand that she likes. Everybody seemed to suggest the OCB papers, and I don't even like those. I've gotten used to Gizeh. I like them, but the ones I have, I'm spoiled now. I can't even roll in a regular fucking zigzag size anymore, and that's what the Gizeh are. Right? So I'm in a dilemma. I'm in the middle of nowhere. I'm having trouble finding papers.
Okay, so
I'm going to have to start making my own. There's a whole forest in front of me here, so...
You also have the option of pipes and bongs. No,
I can't do them. The only thing that I'm able
Dale
to
wants to get a hookah.
The only thing that I'm okay with still is the old Shatterizer. I've got a bong. I've got a dab rig. I've got one of those pen things. What do they call it? What is it called? I can't remember what it was called. You take a little bit of shatter and touch it. It's a pen. You draw it in.
You mean like a nectar collector?
Thank you, Marcel.
All right.
I had a nice bong. I've had lots of demo stuff. In fact, in my packing and unpacking here, I'm finding a lot of vaporizers. I found my first Bud vaporizer, which is just a really long pen with a little tiny cylinder. I found my first vaporizer for shatter, my Shatterizer. I always use that. What else? A double bowled pipe that was sent to me. I had a vapor tower. Do you remember those, Marcel?
Yep.
Yep. I had one for 10 years. They sent it to me, and it faithfully sat on my fucking desk until I packed up the house in Mount Forest, and it broke. It broke. We got lots of people talking. Hi, people talking. They make club. I'm not a fan of the rice paper.
Actually, Charles, I got a question for you.
Yep.
Oh, hello, Darcy.
Hello, Al. Here about 5 years ago, somebody sent me seeds from Jamaica. They put them in an envelope, mailed them to me.
Mm-hmm.
They said they bought the weed on the beach.
Excuse me, Darcy, just one sec. Hey, Len, does that taste good?
Send me back seeds.
Lenny, does that taste good?
Sorry, Darcy, I couldn't hear you the last part, man.
Sorry, go ahead.
Lenny's muted, but he's talking to us.
You were saying somebody sent me
here too, Al.
some weed they bought on the beach, right?
I'm on mute because I'm watching a hockey game.
Yeah, they sent me seeds. I was gonna start them.
Yeah,
but I figured it's likely just a mishmash of genetics that was likely grown in someone's backyard. Because they said that weed wasn't all that great.
Yeah,
but I was just
everything.
The reason I want them because I was hoping that it might have been a landrace strain.
There is no land races left here, except a couple of clones held by the Rastafarian community. In about 1986 or so,
which is we're working
on. A guy brought in a huge amount of Afghan seeds. And then in the early 1990s, there was a big immigration move from people coming from India here. And they brought a lot of North Indians with them. By basically the mid-90s,
Yeah.
All of the native island strains were pretty much gone. You have to remember that in the 80s, there was a serious culture of prohibition here. And when you're talking about the original plants, they get 2 harvests a year and they would get 6 or 7 feet tall. So when the helicopters were flying and stuff, it just made no sense. When they brought in the Afghans and North Indian plants, they would get 2 feet tall and finish in 8 weeks.
Wow.
So really the original strain
shorter
was wiped out. And that's
why we don't have Jamaican red hair now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why the work that I'm doing for Rega, the Rastafarian Church here, is really important. We actually call it the Exodus Project, because we think these are the actual genetics that move with Jaw's people, right? So yeah, I'm super excited. So my goal is to give 1,000 seeds.
That'd be amazing. I'd love to grow that, but I don't think I can wait that long to flower it out.
No. I'm going to do some hybrids with it as well. But even the hybrids are going to be like haze length hybrids, It's one of the longest flowering sativas I've ever worked with. And that's saying something, because I've grown pure Thais, Laotians, Cambodians, and grown them here in Jamaica. And I mean, I had pure Laos strains that flowered like a good month sooner than the lamb's bread.
Really?
Yeah, like it's a really long flowering sativa.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Our Facebook user wants to know if they still make
that is a
rice
long flowering
papers.
sativa. I mean,
do you remember Club Rice Papers? Anybody?
I don't like rice papers. I've tried them, but I don't know if that was that brand. I've tried rice papers though.
I picture the image of the club ones, but I don't know if you can still get them.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Here in Jamaica, we have Lion's Pride.
Have you ever played around with Durban poison, Charles?
I've worked with a little bit of Durban, for sure.
Durban.
I bred a Durban Auto, and we have a elite Durban clone that was sent to me out of California. I believe it's the same clone that Cookies worked with, and I crossed it with our Higher Understanding, which is a black seed Zacatecas purple pheno, crossed with Harmony, which is one of my most recent cup winners. That people just absolutely love. So we made an F1 between the Higher Understanding and that Durban clone, and we call it Higher Learning. Yeah, it's the Durbans that I'm working with though aren't landrace Durbans.
What's that flowering?
What's the flowering time on that? It's about 10 weeks.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's a big producer.
Gee, I play with that in my tent.
Yeah, I actually have some of those in my veg today.
Yeah, no, I was looking at your website there. I see.
Sorry, you cut out.
Yeah, Darcy does.
Yeah, I was looking at your cookie cure.
Yeah, the cookie cure was the first work I ever did with cookies.
I said I was looking at your cookie cure.
Mm-hmm.
Marcel, why don't you pull up his website so we can have a look at it while we're chatting?
Let me go and find his website. I got it open here.
The cookie cure was the first work I ever did with the cookies. It was the Cookies Forum, the original cookies cut. And it took me a long time to get it to work in our in our style of garden, which is high density. The original Forum cut was really popcorny and branchy. So with the cure, we crossed it with the Golden Temple Kush and backbred it. And I think we took that to a 2. And then on the Femme, we actually used a female pollen back onto the BX2. It has all the original classic vanilla terps. I bred a new one as well that we call the Strawberry Cure, which is a strawberry cream, which is the strawberry plant crossed with cookies and cream. And I had an F5 inbred line of that out of friends of mine in Washington State. And we just literally grew like 250 of the cookie cure. And I went through there, did a hunt, and I pollinated those cookie cures with the strawberry cream. So it's basically another cookies back cross. I think it'll be really interesting, but it also maintains the Colomar structure that I was going for when I bred the cookie cure. Yeah.
Sorry, that was me.
Yeah, I see it has a heavy vanilla flavor. That I think I like that strain.
Yeah, it's lovely, man. It's got it literally has a vanilla Oreo cookie kind of vibe to it. I was really surprised when I first tried the kiff from it. The dry sift, it was just shocked me just how much I got the cookies out of it. And it was hard because every time I worked with that forum cut, I would outcross it and lose that cookie appeal altogether. And I was breeding this for an LP, right, that really wanted a cookies line. It ended up taking me 8 years to actually breed the cookie cure.
Holy shit.
That was Garnet, the picture you just showed there. That guy that was sitting here earlier when we were talking.
Oh, yeah? Hang on.
He's my right-hand man here in Jamaica, Garnet Edwards. Yeah.
So that's the website.
Yeah.
New strains. African Freight Train. Acapulco Gold.
Do you ship
crossed with
to
blueberry
Canada?
crossed with mango
I want that
beach.
memory of Afghanistan.
We ship all over the world.
Oh, awesome.
But now you also supply licensed producers as well, like in Canada?
Yes, we do. And soon we'll be able to supply our cuttings out of Denmark, anywhere in the world that's licensed. So you'll be able to use any of ours. You'll get a certificate of analysis on the particular clone, and we can ship it globally out of our Danish partner site.
And then there's the blogs with Charles, your daughter, I'm assuming?
Yeah, that's Liberty, myself, and Garnet Edwards. Yeah.
Yeah. Green Apple Acapulco Gold Pheno. I'm in.
Yeah. No, it's an absolute stellar strain. It was actually the big surprise when I told Kevin Jodry, who was right there with me. I told him, "You got to come smell this. We got a green apple pheno." He looked at me. He's like, "What do you mean green apple? I never smelled a green apple." And he came over there and he's like, "That's rare." And because it really smells, guys, like a green apple Jolly Rancher.
Nice.
And yeah, we got it years ago. I bred a strain years ago called Apple Pie, which is Acapulco Gold cross Nepalese, Nepalese
I've had that before.
that I used on Willie Nelson.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if you guys know, but I was actually the breeder of Barney's Farm for a period of time when I was in Holland. And so Barney's Farm sold Apple Pie as Acapulco Gold.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so all that stuff that's been sold all over the world by Barney's as Acapulco Gold is actually Apple Pie, which is Nepalese cross Acapulco Gold.
Wow. Hey, Dale, there's some powdery mildew spray recipe.
I bought Charles.
Pardon me? I didn't hear you guys.
I said I bought their autoflowers from Barney's Farm here about. No, it's Darcy here.
Yep.
I bought a bunch of the Barney's Farm autoflowers.
How did they work for you? I didn't have much to do with their autoflowers.
He's having trouble.
You could definitely tell that they were not stable. That's for dang sure.
Mm-hmm.
Darcy, what are you connecting on?
I know, eh?
Because you've got a lot of leg there.
Yeah. He's also taller than we thought. You're having bandwidth issues today, buddy. That's for sure. These are nice pictures.
Yeah, those are all grown from feminized seeds, that picture. Yeah.
Do you prefer growing indoors or outdoors?
I absolutely prefer to grow organically outdoors.
Yeah, see?
At the equator, though.
Yeah.
Pictures are all here in Jamaica.
Compared to here, how much longer is your grow time there? I mean, I guess it's year round, right?
Oh yeah, man! It's almost it's between 11 and a half and 12 hours and 20 minutes a year.
Round the year.
Yeah, around the year. So
wow.
Here we have these photo period extension huts. We to the opposite. You know how we do light dep in Canada. Here we have to do the opposite.
Oh, really? Oh, because there's so much light.
Yeah, like
No.
with indicas, we as soon as you can't grow them from seed directly without vegging them, or you'll end up with a 6 or 7 inch plant.
They just start right away?
Oh yeah, the photo period is always between 11 and a half and 12 hours and 20 minutes year round.
Wow.
How cold is it there in the winter?
It doesn't. We just came out of winter and it's like 25, 30 every day.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, it's a tropical. We're at the same latitude as Thailand. I'm at 17.9 degrees south latitude. I'm on the equator.
See, we had this discussion before about genetics in Barbados and places like that. And they have, we lost Lennie.
I know. I was just going to put him on the big screen because it looked like he was sleeping, and I was just going to put him up there.
And the problem is they don't have the photo period. They've basically got, well, I can't even say an autoflower photo period because that would just give you really small autoflowers. But
no, autoflowers wouldn't work in the tropics, guys. It's the opposite. Autoflowers are for the northern hemisphere where we have long daylight. Here in the southern hemisphere, we basically think of it this way: we have 12 hours outdoor year round. And so you have to do photo period extension. That means that you just have huts without any sides on them to keep the water off your lights. And you have to run your lights for 6 hours into the dark cycle.
Yeah.
To veg your plants. And then once your plants are veg, unless they're equatorial plants. Now, if we're talking about, like, if you look on my website, we have Super Lemon Lao. Super Lemon Lao has enough equatorial sativa in it that you can grow it from a seed here and still end up with a 42-inch plant, from seed. And same with the lamb's bread. The lamb's bread is naturally grows under this photo period. So even from a seed naturally, you'll still end up with a 6-foot plant. That's what I was trying to explain before with part of the prohibition, that drove it into extinction, was he couldn't hide it. Because even though it's 12 hours all the time, Thais, Laotians, sativas, anything from the equatorial zone naturally is built around this type of photo period. It's only Afghans and Indicas that are from a more similar photo period to North America and Europe.
Hey, Charles, I got a question for you. Have you got a candle handy? If you had a candle, it would give you enough light that we'll see you.
Yeah, just hold on. The sun just went down, guys.
I know. Soon we'll be talking to a black square.
I will fix it.
All
Sorry
right.
about that.
No, don't be sorry. No. Don't be sorry at all.
There we go.
There we
Look.
go.
And there is light.
You could go sit in the bathroom. There's always light in the bathroom. Always. No matter where you are, there's some kind of light in the bathroom.
Yeah, the sun goes down very quickly here.
That's better.
It
Thank
goes
you.
down and comes up. Yeah.
It's, we've got a short, it's not that short right now. I mean, it's up around 9-ish and then comes around until so it's about 12 hours right now, I guess. Maybe a little bit, maybe 13.
What?
Here.
What?
Our sunlight right now.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. It comes up around 9.
Comes up around
9:30, and then it goes down around between 8 and 9. So yeah, close to 12 hours, anyways. Mm-hmm. So is there anything that you would suggest a novice grower like myself, who is up in the boonies, to try and do for outdoor in a greenhouse? What would you suggest?
Oh man, there's lots. The early purple that we just talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Some my auto lines will be out soon. But the memories of Afghanistan. There is some other hybrids that I'm coming out with around some diesels. There's quite a number. Basically, most of my Afghani will finish as long as you can go. My Afghan or my indica dominant plants, most of them will finish if you can go until October 5th.
Sure, I've got a greenhouse.
Yeah. I mean, I literally grew 8,000 plants in a greenhouse in 2020 on Vancouver Island. Yeah.
This is what that you were talking to the BX3.
The BX3, yeah. That's a breeder's pack of the BX3. That's the mother line of Pink Kush. Yeah, and that one, guys, is too late to grow.
I love them pink hairs.
That one's too late to grow outdoors in Canada. Maybe with a greenhouse, because indoors it's like 79 to 81 days.
Wow.
So it's a pure indica, but it's a very late flowering lowland Pakistani is what it is. And so as where if you went to like my Jihadi Kush, the Jihadi Kush is ideally suited for in Canada. It was bred for it.
Hang on, let me go and find it here.
I'm going to have a look at your website and add you on Facebook. We'll chat after.
Is Jihadi listed right now?
Pardon me?
I'm not sure if the Jihadi is listed because we have the stock, but the stock's in Colombia, and I might have had him take it down because it was becoming too problematic for us to ship Colombian stock from where I am.
Right.
So what about
if these are in alphabetical, then no.
Okay, yeah, I think we had it listed like 2 weeks ago, but I think that it was taken down.
What was the other one that I saw here that down a little further? That orange Pico Cambodian, that's long flowering time too, isn't it?
It's 12 weeks. A lot of the stuff that's listed right now is longer flowering stuff. The other stuff's coming down literally we're adding strains every 2 or 3 days right now.
Are you selling through the OCS?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. No.
But you are in some provinces in legal.
No, I'm not
arenas.
selling in any provinces right now.
Okay.
Actually, I'm selling through Jamaica and Denmark.
Oh, cool.
But the Denmark shortly will have phytosanitation certification, including for our clones. So soon we'll be able to ship live clones and all of our seeds, and we'll have them in stock in Canada and the USA shortly. The phytosanitation certification is required for us to ship seeds to the USA.
Please when you get to that, when you get to the clones and shipping stuff like that, please come back and talk to us because I find that interesting, that stuff. I know it's the more expensive way to go, but is it the safer way to go is to get clones or?
Honestly, for LP, suppose you're in Thailand and you want to grow one of my hazes or something, or an Acapulco Gold, you're going to get a tried, tested, selected clone from the breeder with certificates of analysis of how it performed in different environments, right? So, yeah, it's a little bit more of a no-brainer.
For them. Now, what about us? What about the consumer? Are you going to be offering that kind of stuff to us as well?
If you can legally import it, I'll ship it to you. Because I can prepare an export license in Denmark, but you have to prepare an import license on the Canadian side. So it depends. I don't really know where Health Canada is at in regards to allowing the importation of clones for home growers.
Leonard?
I mean, they don't like it. Health Canada doesn't like anything imported, period.
Have you met Lennie before, Charles?
No.
Lennie is the CEO of Turtle Cannabis.
Okay, hello.
Hi, nice to meet you. No, I apologize for being silent. I'm just watching.
He's watching his hockey games. Don't worry about him. He likes to play Kilroy and just kind of hang around in his video watching hockey.
I hate being rude, but it is playoffs.
I was just reaching up to put you full on the screen because it looked like you were falling asleep, and you left.
I was on mute, but you know how you get that little piece of nail that gets long and it gets floppy?
I know.
And I'm trying to bite the fucker off because it hurts. I caught myself on it. So that's what I was doing. No, I'm not sleepy at all. But I'm just dazed because I'm watching the hockey game. Health Canada's research only is the only way you can get anything in.
Another interesting fact about Lennie is he is a pharmacist as well, Charles. So,
okay.
Yeah. A bundle of information.
I actually tried to import for medical a few years ago.
From Jamaica?
Yeah, I won't say the company. They're honestly they're assholes. So I won't say them, but they were. It's not. I don't think it's anything to do with your company. I hope not. Anyway.
No.
No. Health Canada. They're trying to protect the LPs in Canada and the money that was invested. They're not letting anything in for a while.
I actually imported seeds to our LP in Ontario from the UK.
Yeah, but they called it research probably.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I can't.
No, there was a loophole that was going on a few years ago. They were calling it research, and they had multiple licenses. They were transferring it over to the regular license. They stopped that shit. That was a little loophole everyone was doing. They'd bring it all in an R&D license, and then just sell it off their R&D license to like their processing or cultivation license. And Health Canada caught on to that game.
Huh, interesting.
Yeah.
I find it interesting that there isn't really access here for people to get clones in the mail, although there are a couple of places listed on the OCS here in Ontario that you can get clones. I haven't actually looked to see.
I don't know what happened. There's a couple that we're going to be doing. It was like there's one.
Well, we were looking that one day and we saw a few. Yeah.
What is it? THC Biome. They were. I remember them at Lift years ago in Vancouver, and
Delta 9 said they were going to do it,
and it just. I don't know if they just had shitty genetics or. It just. I never really. They didn't. I think they went bankrupt, so I'm not really sure if we even remember. But I know that was their program.
Clones. Shipping clones could be an issue, but they've now come up with all kinds of cool little devices for doing it.
Oh, yeah, no.
Charles has no problem shipping clones.
No,
he's got that down to a science.
And there is some cool manufacturers that make like little clone dome, like little mini things. That, like I've seen them at Lifton shows, so...
I've seen the containers, yeah, and in fact, I've gotten other plants in them. It's like a little beaker, not a beaker, like a little test tube with a top on it, and just holds the plant in there, right?
Yeah, there's a bunch of different types.
Just
the
roots,
the ones that we use actually have lights in them, LED lights.
I've heard of those too. I've heard of those. Yeah.
Well, the last thing you want is a long trip sealed up in a box with no light for a cannabis
particularly
plant.
when you're selling somebody a plant under license, right?
Yeah.
We take a fair bit of care in prepping and shipping.
So you'd have to put several in at a time, and then a light. No, it's not like one light per plant.
Each clone has one light.
Oh, really?
It's like a screw top container.
Oh, cool.
Medium is held in the bottom, and there's a LED light that'll keep the plant, going for. I think they'll stay on for a week, but usually the maximum we ship is usually 4 days.
Yeah. Now I don't know if it's the same company or if there's multiple companies, but there was a Canadian company that was selling those. I met them at.
Oh yeah, there's a ton of different companies now.
Yeah, no, I met one of the ones from they were from BC down at MJ BizCon. That's what they were there for. This is years ago now. Mm-hmm. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, it sounds like a neat.
But how much per container?
They weren't that bad a price, Marcel. I want to say they were like $20 or something stupid.
$15, yeah.
Yeah.
So that jacks the price up on each of your clones.
No, so but if you wanted, like, say, for example, Darcy, if he wanted a very specific clone, and like he's going to pay that money to get it, right?
Yeah. As well as the premium price on that clone.
Oh, I
what,
you know what I mean?
What is the price of a clone? What is a clone? I mean, you're
depends on what clone it is and whether it's to an LP under license, the amount of COAs that go with it, the amount of like supportive, like it just depends totally on the deal, the price of a clone.
And most LPs wouldn't buy one clone.
No. Well, no, they'll get they'll buy like a piece of genetics under license. It depends, or outright, and you'll ship them, say, 6 or 8, and then you'll go there and help them usually establish or get with the SOPs. So when they're getting a clone, they're also getting the SOPs around that clone. So it depends on the deal, right? And so everyone's just a little bit different.
That's what happens when you have your strands dialed in and you know what you're doing with them.
Yeah. Makes a big difference. A lot less trial and error and pheno hunt and everything
Marcel, that's why we can grow that Grimace so well.
Yeah.
Because we picked the pheno that you picked the pheno that you liked. It was the same one that I liked, which was kind of a coincidence. And we grow it and we do good with it. I like to get Charles some of them seeds and see what he could do with them.
What is that strain?
Grimace OG.
Oh yeah.
It's a face-off OG cross with a
purple Urkel.
Oh, nice.
I like purple Urkel.
Yeah, this is a nice balanced strain, and it.
You guys haven't done Grimace in a while, have you?
Last year,
I did Grimace last year.
Did you?
Okay. I did too. I did 2 plants of it.
I did Grimace last year, and they survived a fucking hurricane. Well, most of them survived the hurricane. There was quite a few branches were lost, but.
Man, I've been dealing with the worst winds this year constantly, every friggin' day. I've grown, I've grown in Jamaica for a lot, and this particular year has just been just tough, man. Even guys that grew up here, like Garnet, they're like, we've never seen, persistent wind like this. You got like a constant wind at 40 kilometers, gusting to 70, and I'm growing these big fucking hazes, excuse my language. It was just the worst possible, like, strain for conditions, right?
That's worst case scenario all around.
Yeah, but you know what? I found out which ones I can tell my customers absolutely will take wind.
Which ones are resilient?
What do you use for supplemental lighting?
I just use LEDs, various LEDs. Remember, all I'm doing is photo period extending my plants so that they aren't triggering, right?
Right.
So we literally have a bamboo pole greenhouse that has no sides, just a roof over it, and we just light that with basic LED, just enough to keep the plants from flowering. That's all we're trying to do because our light is so intense through the daytime.
Yeah.
Just very basic LED.
See, they don't need nothing fancy, Marcel.
Well, yeah. Well, Joe Petrie figured out that the plants only need 5.5 hours of light at a time is all they'll do for veg.
Oh man!
And then after
Joe,
but yeah. So, but extending the photo period, I always wondered how they did it in Jamaica. And
just
because Barbados is looking at setting up grows in Barbados.
Yeah, guys, I was building one of the first gardens in St. Vincent, which is right across from Barbados.
Yeah.
So it's the same as here. I also I'm supposed to do a deal. I don't know if it's going to happen. The cannabis thing's a little bit messed up. In one of the first gardens in Panama too. I was just over there a while ago. And
I like those strains too.
Like this is what I've been doing for the last 8 years. I built the first farm over 5 acres in Jamaica, and that original got sold to Acria, Canada. And then we did one of the first 12 in Colombia, and then we did Uruguay, and then I did St. Vincent, and we also did one in Denmark, which is my partner company now.
Yeah.
And there was one that we started in Portugal, but I left the company post IPO.
What did you think of Uruguay?
I didn't like Uruguay. I'm just going to be real blunt. I was trying to think of a more polite way to say it, but no, I wasn't a big fan of Uruguay, man. It was really not the best place. I didn't understand the actual geographical location. And I showed up there and I was freezing my balls off and I was dressed for the tropics. It was like Uruguay is a cold country, guys. It's like got seasons like Canada. And,
Yeah.
And you know what? I didn't have nothing to do with that selection of Uruguay. At that time, our CEO decided, man, we're going to grow hemp in Uruguay. And I'm like, dude, first of all, I've never grown hemp and I know nothing about Uruguay. And he's like, well, I want you to go there and grow CBD hemp in Uruguay. And so that's how it went down, boys. So I went to Uruguay and I bought hemp dryers and hemp processing shit. And I told him, but you know what I told him?
What's that, Darcy?
Does that sound familiar?
Yeah.
Buying hemp dryers and hemp shit.
I told the CEO, I told him this. He's actually a real dick. His name's Clifford Stark. I told him, the arrogant little dude, that I thought that CBD was a fad.
Sound familiar, Darcy?
Yeah.
I told him, I think that CBD is a fad, dude. And I think that we're over-investing. And he had us doing another thing, like somewhere, I thank God it fucked up or something. It fell apart. It was over by Ukraine somewhere. He wanted me to do another one. And I was like, man, are you sure? And this guy basically sent me all over the fucking earth building new acquisitions for our company. And I'm like, I'm the guy that flew in, broke the ground, did the soil test. He's buying land before I could even test the soil and waters. Like, just crazy shit. Like, you got some guy buying land that knows nothing about the cannabis space.
Next thing you know, Charles, you'll be over in fucking Chernobyl planting hemp.
So listen, guys, let's
that will actually help clean up the soil.
Let's take a quick break and run some stuff here, and then we'll come back and continue our conversation with Charles Scott from Scott Family Farms in Jamaica, man.
Can we play Charles's song?
I'm going to try and load it while I'm playing this stuff. Yep.
All right.
Oh, actually, why don't you load it, and then you can share it, and it'll play when we come back. I'll do it. All right. We'll be right back. What's that?
How long are we going to be?
This is just a minute. You'll have enough time to go pee.
Oh, thanks, though.
Okay.
Yes.
That's where I'm going.
All right. We'll be right back in a minute or so.
You're watching the Cannabis Broadcasting Group here at cbgtv.com.
Yeah, someone done writing for me?
Hey, this is Cheech. And this is Chong. And you're listening to Lifestyle Radio. What is it? Lifestyle Radio. Say it one more time. 420 Radio? Woo!
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
Are you an independent musician? How would you like to have your songs played on hundreds of radio stations just like the one you're listening to right now? Join MusicSubmit.com and we'll promote your music to radio stations and blogs in your genre. It's free to set up your account, and we guarantee your music will be considered for airplay by radio stations worldwide. Why not sign up today? It's free. MusicSubmit.com. Radio promotion for indie musicians.
This is how we grow the weed.
Alrighty. I got this song loaded up that Marcel gave me this afternoon. And here we go.
Introducing Charles Reeferman Scott and Scott Family Farms Lifetime Collection. A seed for every garden. I'm talking Guinness Book of World Records stuff happening here in Jamaica.
Ganja general.
You're not hearing it?
No. Flavor
hold on a minute.
Now it's medical ganja.
Let's try this again here. Let's try it this way. All right, here we go. Let's try this again, shall we?
General. Introducing Charles Reeferman Scott.
Hear it now?
Scott Family Farms Lifetime Collection. A seed for every garden. I'm talking Guinness Book of World Records stuff happening here in Jamaica.
Ganja General, seeds incredible, flavors several, now it's medical. Ganja General, seeds incredible, flavors several, now it's medical. Something the world has never seen. We're talking 400 strains of green. Charles is the plant breeding machine. Scott family .farm for a bean. Send the cookie crosses over to Burner on YouTube with Kevin. I'm a learner with the real kings of cannabis. We're living every day, passionate. The chosen, the work, the money just a perk. Let the birds chirp, I'll hit them with my smirk. True growers know these seeds they need to sow. Germinate greatness, legendary status. With the rastas and all the collections. Got seeds from everywhere, all directions. Ganja General, seeds incredible, flavors several, now it's medical. Ganja General, seeds incredible, flavors several, now it's medical. We love the herb, we love the root, we love the seed, we love the fruit. Shout out to Garnet, shout out to everyone helping in the field, shout out to the family. Scott Family Farms. What up, Dan? Yeah. So this collection, just so you know, 7 continents, all over the world, 30 years in the making. Charles Reeferman Scott has sourced, has grown, has cultivated, has bred these seeds, and now they're ready for you. We can't wait to share them. We love you guys. Peace.
You had that made, or somebody made that for you, or
a friend of mine that owns a studio in Colombia, Marty, actually made that for me. In Jamaica, they call me the Ganja General. I go to the grocery store in Portmore, Jamaica, and they're like, "It's a Ganja General." I came back here and hadn't been here in 4 years, and in a little village, kind of a ghetto, really. People recognize me as the Ganja General because I employed a lot of people and treated them very well. So yeah, general is a word of like respect here. So when I first came here, I didn't understand why they were calling me the general. Yeah, it's really special. Yeah,
that's excellent. I like the song, and I'm not a big
he doesn't like rap music.
But it was a reggae rap.
Well, that's a reggae rap.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like totally different.
I liked it.
The beat was awesome. I really like that.
Yeah, Marty's a cool
guy. That could also be the ice cream.
So just take 1 second and say, YouTube, Facebook, they have permission to play that song, if you don't mind.
YouTube, Facebook, they absolutely have permission from Marty Rose to play that song.
Now let's see what happens, because,
Wait, that's not played on YouTube.
I am the Ganja General, and I've given them consent.
It's his song. He can let us play it if we want, and it's a cool song. So we might play it again.
Al has Al at Pace Radio has a little intro that he has somebody made up for him, and he's actually gotten slammed with a copyright claim for it. Now our song, Jim did that, about 10 years ago now.
Yeah.
And it's never been flagged or anything because he did that specifically for us.
Yeah, but it's the same as that song. That song was done specifically for Charles.
Exactly. So we'll see what happens.
Song, so he has the rights to say whether or not somebody can actually rebroadcast.
Well, we'll know if Facebook accepts that right within an hour after the show.
Hey guys, I was gonna say, for home growers who really want to try stuff like some of the classics like Santa Marta Colombian Gold, Acapulco Gold. I know my inbred lines, they're sold in 15 packs, the breeder packs. But I made a ton of F1 hybrids. For example, we have 24 karat gold, which is Acapulco Gold cross Santa Marta Colombian Gold. and it's way more affordable. And honestly, for most growers that want to grow a plant for smoking it and for consistency and just, you know, for higher yields and everything, they actually want to grow an F1, not an inbred line. And so I just want to tell you guys, don't be scared off by the prices of my inbred line. It's because I put 30 years of polishing onto them, right? Mm-hmm. But the F1s are actually bred with the very best parents from those lines. And the F1s are targeted at the home grower and people who want to experience those old classic strains. You know, and honestly, the smoke from, for example, 24 karat gold is better than either parent from the perspective of it having hybrid vigor and resonation and trichromatic development being much higher, you know. And another new one that we got, which rarely happens, but I got the strain. I was in a village, Bachata, and Kevin Jordy had happened to be in the same village, and we didn't even know. But we tried a strain there, both of us independently, and they call it Bachata Black. It's a Colombian black, and I got some seeds of it. And, you know, people give me stuff all the time, and I have so many strains. Like this year, I don't even know. Maybe we grew 6,000 plants, right, to do our selections. And so I stuck these plants over on the side, and they didn't get like primary positioning in the veg house, and you know what I mean. They just weren't treated like they should be. But I stuck them in our Colombian and Mexican area. Basically, all of my genetics are broken up on the farm by region almost, right? And man, these Bachata Blacks blew my mind. They were just absolutely stunning. Everybody who's come here, the Marina boys, the breeders of Piff and Cuban Black Haze, Kevin Jodry, everybody that's tried this strain, and it's a jungle sativa. It's been worked by a guy, and I think that how he worked it was he found an elite clone, and he probably, you know, bred it a little too much into an elite clone. So from the perspective of having a great deal of vigor and stuff, it wasn't the best. But the smoke on this strain being something, you know, as a landrace, and it's this little area in Bachata, it's right on the border where one side of the river that we were on is in Colombia, and the other side of the river is Venezuela. And so this is a part of Colombia where the cannabis genetics hadn't been explored, like say Santa Marta and the highlands where we get mango biche and stuff from. And that Colombian black is outstanding. And we have a new hybrid that I bred using the Acapulco Gold, which again I told you guys my favorite heirloom from our collection. Onto that black. It's untested, but I can't imagine it being anything but bloody amazing. I'm so excited to grow it. We're actually planting everything right now. So all the seeds we just produced are all going on the same field they were produced on. We're going to re-amend it with organic amendments, and we're literally growing everything that we just produced and photographing it, and we'll have that all onto the site really quickly. I mean, a majority of the strains have been well tested, but everything that we produce is tested, photographed, and the best will be run through HPLC to share with everybody as well.
So you said that there are other alternatives, purchasing alternatives. What?
Yeah, because I got some heat from people saying, "Hey, man, you want like $280 for your Santa Marta Colombian Gold?" Well, it was part of my Canada's first cup winner. I won Canada's first cup with Love Potion 1, which was that plant crossed with G13, right? Same with my Acapulco Gold. I mean, I've kept it alive for 30 years. So what I'm saying is that some people, unless you're a breeder, these strains in their pure form aren't probably that interesting. Some of these have been inbred 10, 12 generations, right? Yeah. So they're breeding.
They don't understand the time and love that goes into them, Charles.
Yeah, but what I'll communicate is that most growers that aren't breeders, even if you are breeders, the F1s, they're true F1s between either two inbred lines or two polished heirloom or landraces. I like to use the word heirloom because landrace kind of denotes something that has been allowed to grow in a wild sense and self-propagate, you know?
Yeah.
And so I like to use the word heirloom. But we compared, there's some researchers at the University of Magdalena, Santa Marta. I was living in Santa Marta, Colombia for about 11 months. And I met these researchers because there had been an article published in the local paper that they were studying the history of cannabis in the Santa Marta area. and I got some of the Santa Marta Colombian Gold seeds from them, and I grew them next to our heirloom variety, and the terpene profile is identical, but you could just see the difference between something that's had years of selective inbreeding, and in the last 7 or 8 years or so, I've been able to grow some pretty big populations to go through my genomes, stuff I only dreamed about, when I was young. I remember when I grew 500 plants the first time, and I was like mind blown that we brought in 500 plants this year. So, some of the fields that I've done in Jamaica are, 2 square hectares of pink Kush and stuff, right? And the facility I was running in Ontario had 1 million square foot of canopy. It wasn't running at 1 million square foot, but we were growing some really big, numbers.
How many plants do you get in a space like that?
So on an acre of land, I usually, in Jamaica, those small plant pictures you were looking at.
Yep.
So you'll look, there's a plant every 16 inches. So I'll put like 4,400 plants an acre depending on the strain, but like an indica hybrid, I'll put 4,400 plants an acre on a really great crop. Some of my best crops were 1,470 pounds an acre. But on an average, like the pink Kush, we grew 1 hectare twice over, and we got about 1,100 pounds an acre.
Wow.
And about that ratio too, about the 4,400 plants an acre.
What do you guys do with all your clippings at that much? What do you do? Do you make oil? Do you make other products? Do you do distillates, isolates, and stuff like that?
Yeah. So originally in Jamaica, before we sold the original farm, which is the first one over 5 acres, we had the first labs certified by the Scientific Research Council of Jamaica. And I was actually running a large-scale BHO operation, and I was also running a large-scale water hash production system. But I'm a dry sieve freak. So I also do a lot of sifting for my own.
I'm starting to turn into a dry sieve freak too.
Yeah, guys. Once you learn how to,
I was always an ice and water guy, man. But this dry sift, it's wow.
Yeah, it's funny. You guys were asking me about numbers earlier on sift and stuff. And actually, the last time I made any amount of water hash was in Jamaica 5 years ago.
Wow.
And we had so much material that we didn't even look at those ratios and returns. We just were like,
what kind of material is best to use for a dry shift? Can you use the same material that you would use to use ice and water?
Yeah, I use whole flour, man.
Okay.
Yeah, I use whole flour. And some of our more modern techniques that we're using for dry sift, our initial dry sifting is actually done with vibratory sieve technology and dry ice.
Yeah, I was wondering if you use dry ice or not.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
You have to in Jamaica. It's a little warm.
There's some new technology, guys, that uses CO2, and I'm super interested, but I haven't got there yet. I've used CO2 as an agitation for my water hash production here in Jamaica, and it made my ice last a lot longer too, right?
Yeah,
that's like that rocket tank, Marcel.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Guys, I had the first 17-gallon rocket tanks here in Jamaica.
All right,
nice,
on.
Charles. That's fucking awesome.
And they work really well, you guys. And it you know what? It seems pricey, and it is because when you look at what it's made from, but the convenience of it and how well it worked, it's kind of worth it.
Yeah.
See, I'm just running a 5-gallon wash machine right now.
I was trying to find one here, guys. I got all this material. You have no idea. I don't even want to say because I don't want to,
Amazon shipped to
Jamaica. I have
Jamaica?
a lot of material, and I'm trying to find myself one of those 5-gallon washing machines just so that we don't have to run the spatula on the electric drill,
Mm-hmm.
No, Charles, dude, get with the times. I use the paint mixer.
That's what I have. I have a paint mixer.
God. I couldn't find a paint mixer, okay?
Oh, okay.
Well,
We could- would you like us to mail you one?
The problem is customs might probably try to charge me $200 in duty on it or seize it.
Fuck
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What's
But,
this?
But you know,
Well,
here,
I have a paint mixer that's never seen paint before.
guys, I've hooked up so many things in Mexico years ago. I used electric trolling motors.
Why not? If it works, do it.
Yeah.
You know, I keep every now and then around 420, a little video comes up of one of those little toy marine engines that you put in your coffee and you turn it on and it mixes up your coffee. Yeah. So I was thinking about ways to mix up my virgin olive oil and FICO up nicely, and I was like, you know, that would work
on
nicely.
A coffee warmer.
On a coffee warmer with one of those, one of those little. It just clips on the side of your cup, and you just turn it on. And
how much do they cost?
What, the little engine thingies?
Yeah,
I don't know. You'd have to go to a Dollarama. We don't have one here. I'm literally in the middle of nowhere, Charles.
A dollar store here is a department store, boys.
Yeah, no doubt, eh? We have a dollar store. We have a dollar store in the next town, but everything's $4.99.
Have you ever bred any strands for muscle spasms, Charles?
You know, man, I've when it comes to muscle spasms and neurospastic stuff, the first strains that come to mind for me are Wakeford. For all of those type of spastic conditions, Wakeford's one of my very oldest strains. It was bred for Jim Wakeford, who was the first guy to get an exemption under the old Section 56 program. Mm-hmm. And I bred that strain for Jim, man, I don't know, like 27 years ago. And remember how I mentioned UVC chemo earlier?
Yeah.
So this was OBG13, which was Neville's G13 skunk one. The original one from years and years ago, crossed to the UVC chemo. And honestly, to this day, when it comes to that type of muscle spasms and stuff, it's one of the best medical strains that I have. Also, the Petrolia Head Stash, which is the mother of Harawana, that I got when I worked with Steve Tuck when he bred Harawana, you know, I guess about 22 years ago or something.
Yeah.
I just bred a new line off of that called the Heavy Hammer. And again, it's one of those strains that's ideal for those type of conditions. And we're talking, these are high potency strains. Like off a pack of seeds, you'll hit 24s and 25s on them, on both the Wakeford and the Heavy Hammer.
Now your Wakeford, is it available on your catalog?
If it's not available today, everything was available, guys, even a week ago. But I got frustrated because I have stock in Colombia and stock in Jamaica. And so I had my guys in Colombia remove the Colombian stock until it gets here into my hands. But I'm also about to harvest. We took the G13 inbred line and we back crossed it onto the Wakeford right now. Ooh. And that's the Wakeford 2.0, meaning the Wakeford 20 years, because it's our 20 years as a company, right?
Nice.
So all the 2.0 is representative of 20 years. So yeah, I'm also working on the G13 today. We actually just sprayed the G13s, and we sprayed the original 2006 East Coast Sour Diesel.
Ooh.
So we also I don't know if you guys know, but I was friends with Neville, and one of the last strains that Neville bred was actually one of them was Mullenby Madness cross Pink Kush. And I also gave Neville the Thai 78, which originally came from a breeder in Switzerland called Green Hornet, but I worked it for several generations. And so Neville and I had planned, and we announced it on Mr. Nice Seeds, 8 years ago, that he and I were doing a collaborative company. And Mr. Nice kicked me off after that announcement. The last post that I put on Mr. Nice Seeds was a collaborative effort of Neville and I. But so Neville had been working on his Grail project, which is Mullenby Madness, which is an old Thai stick plant that's famous in Australia.
Yeah, bred by Kangativa.
Well, it wasn't bred by Kangativa. It's way, way, way later, like way before Kangativa. But Kangativa preserved it, absolutely. So my Mullenimby came from Neville. He had, he was working in Australia, and in Australia there's still a lot of risk at that time. And so I made a whole whack of femmes for him like 5 years ago here in Jamaica. And, like feminized seeds, and I sent them back to him. I didn't charge him. I just gave them to him because I had the ability to grow as many plants as I wanted at that time. And so right now, Neville had made the Neville's Haze 21 cross Mullenimby Madness, and that was the 21 cross to Kangatiba's clone. And he wasn't really thrilled with how it fired. I mean, it's really good, but he wasn't thrilled. So he ended up making the Neville's Haze 15 cross Mullenby males. He had a Mullenby seed line, which came from Kangatiba as well. And he got 2 males, and he crossed it onto the Neville's Haze 15, which was his longest flowering Neville's Haze female. They had the churchiest kind of flavor, like a church incense kind of flavor. And so I'm pretty sure, I never talked to Neville about it. We talked a lot for periods of time. We talked like every 2 weeks, then we wouldn't talk for a period of time. But anyways, what I think is, I know that last time I heard that he wasn't happy with how the 21 cross Mullen fired. And so then he bred the 15, and it was the opposite, right? So the 21 is a Mullen female, Kangatiba's clone, with a Neville's Haze 21 male. And the 15 is a Neville's Haze female with the Mullen male. And so what I just did, we call it Neville's Grail, is I took the 15 cross Nebs, and I put it on the 21 Mullen. And so I think that was what he was going for. And anyways, that's what I did, having grown the plants. I mean, these plants were put out into the fields at 16 inches. They're 9 feet by 7-8 feet wide right now.
Holy shit.
True equatorial plants, right?
Yeah.
I have Neville's A5 and his C5 going here as well. So I'm doing a whole bunch of preservation work around Neville's true lines here right now. And they'll be being released under the Hayes Brothers collection. That's what the collaboration was supposed to be called between Neville and I.
Nice. I can't wait for your autoflowers to get on your website, because I'm a big guy that plays around with a lot of autoflowers.
Oh, right on. Yeah. Paul Martin from Scallywag Seeds, who's a good friend of mine, he actually did a bunch of testing. Him and his partner, Joe Wallace, did a bunch of testing on my autos. Because of my connection to corporate cannabis, I wasn't able to really sell the autoflowers because we had been making deals with those particular lines under supply agreements to some LPs.
Yep.
But now that I'm free of my corporate overlords, the autoflowers will be coming back out. And that's a unique line, actually. That's our Auto Giganticus line. And the difference is, years ago, I used to, under Prairie Fire, I sold Auto Afghani.
Yeah.
And Auto Indica, I called it at different breeds. And we ended up getting, around 1997 or 98, there was I never used to tell people what it is, but now I'm telling all the secrets. There was a line of AK-47 that came out, and it was a recalled line because the plants were autoflowering. Guys would try to hold it in veg, and it would autoflower, and that was happening on the male and the female side. And so I saw that as an advantage, and I bought up some of those seeds from a Canadian distributor, and I ended up crossing those autoflowering because of basically genetic mismanagement and inbreeding traits into the Auto Afghani, and that is what became the Auto Giganticus. And that the Auto Afghani, of course, had Neville's original ruderalis work in.
I think you excited Darcy.
Well, it's just breeding is I'm just so fascinated with breeding because I do it myself, and
I know you do.
It's such an art. You got to know what you're doing, because if you
And
don't,
Darcy,
you'll just
hit me up after, and I'll send you a whole bunch of photos of the various Auto Giganticus stuff. It's just I'm not in the ideal environment to work autos right now.
Yeah,
but they're
playing
coming.
around. I'm playing around with Mephisto's stuff right now.
Yeah, his stuff is excellent. It's probably the best auto flowers on the market right now.
They are. They really are. That's why I follow him on Instagram and been chatting a teeny little bit with him. And yeah, I got his Skywalker BX right now. I'm running.
Yeah, he sent me a bunch of seeds some years ago.
Yeah, his foam stomper's a good one too.
To me. Yeah, to check out. Like that would have been 2014 or something. He's a good guy.
Yeah, no, he's got heavy producers and they just crystal up so fucking good now.
Yeah. Our Auto Giganticus line is averaging on potency about 17%.
See, nothing wrong with that, man. There's nothing wrong with that at all.
Yeah.
Some of the best weed I've ever smoked, man, was less than 17%. So.
Oh yeah, I mean we won the best overall strain in 2005 Cannabis Cup, not the Seed Cup. We won the Cannabis Cup in 2005, and I'll bet you that Willie Nelson was only 15%, man.
See, it's that balance, the balanced terpene and balanced cannabinoid profile through it, man, makes a huge difference.
Let me ask you a question: Is that the Willie Nelson, his strain itself?
No, so
okay.
So I bred a strain that won the best overall strain in 2005 called Willie Nelson.
Okay.
But he was aware of it, but I don't really want to get into it. It was somewhat of a uncomfortable situation when Maclean's magazine wrote something, and I just don't want to get into it.
No problem. Next subject.
Yeah. But yes, the Willie Nelson strain won best overall in the 2005 Cup.
Wow.
And you know what? It was the first time I think ever that a straight F1 between two land races ever won the Cup, you know?
So here's a question for you. Have you ever entered the Karma Cup that we do here in Toronto?
No, you know, I was thinking about entering it. I entered Marco Renda's Cup, and I won a couple awards there one year.
Treating yourself.
Yep.
Yeah, the TY Cup, but I haven't really been doing a lot of cups, but definitely some of my growers, my test growers in Canada, are super interested in entering some cups. So we'd certainly be interested for sure.
Well, we have the John Cook Cup coming up that we have every year during Harvest Fest in July.
Okay.
So I'll fire off some information on Facebook.
When in July?
14th to 17th of July.
Well, that's literally right when I'm supposed to come back to Canada. Yeah.
Well, see, that's literally when you should come to Harvest Fest.
In Nova Scotia.
In Nova Scotia.
I have family in good old Green Harbor, Nova Scotia. Hey, boys.
You can come visit family at the same time.
That was a lighter break. Everybody was going at the same time.
I just rolled up some of Darcy's rosin that actually turned into hash.
It's beautiful, isn't it, Marcel?
Do you remember the two pieces of rosin you gave me? One was that white creamy stuff.
Yes.
That dried out into nice hash.
It does. So did mine in my little sticky dish.
Yeah.
And Lennie, yours will too.
You leave it sit out and it dries more than it would before you usually normally.
This stuff come out like almost like a cream out of the rosin press, and he did other stuff that come out that was just dark rosin.
Come out darker. I find anything outdoor that I've been playing around with comes out a little darker than my indoor stuff.
But it's also tastes better, has more kick.
Oh, it has way more kick. That's made from the Sun God and Grimace, Marcel.
Yeah, I prefer sun-grown weed, you guys. I absolutely do in every capacity.
Yep.
Wait till you try it grown at the equator. It's a whole next level. It takes it to the next level. I don't know how else to put it. Just like other things that are grown here, whether it's a mango or a banana, the closer you get to the equator, the sweeter they get. And it's the same with cannabis. That's why I'm in Jamaica. I could have been in a bunch of other different places to do this work, but some of the finest genetics and the best representation of those genetics I've ever grown has been here in Jamaica. Okay. It's just a crazy place to grow.
Hold on and just listen for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Whose dog is snoring?
That's my dog.
I was going to say, mine was, but she left, so she went to school somewhere else.
Rose is snoring on the couch in the living room. That's funny. I heard it.
Wonder if you got one of your Marcel. Wonder if you got one of your biscuits.
Do you use cannabis with your pets, Charles?
Not with this guy, but this guy self-medicates, guys. And it's so funny. Certain strains, he'll go and munch buds. Like we have a strain called Rocket Man, which is a Romulan hybrid that's real like fruity. And he'll go. We had to actually clean up the floor because he was licking the trichomes off. And then we brought in another one the other day, which is a Mango Biche, Colombian cross blueberry. And again, he got that terp and he started munching buds. But he scared us a bit when he was real young, but now he seems to munch the buds and enjoy them. So we kind of let him have it, but we have to control the amount.
My cat comes over every time I smoke a joint, and he sits between my legs, and he's like looking up at me, and every time you blow at him, he's like, his nose is going and everything, and he just loves it, and then he goes and he sleeps for the afternoon.
Now, when you work with blueberry, Charles, is it DJ Short's blueberry?
Yeah, so it's that's a good question. So I've been working with DJ Short's blueberry literally since the first seeds he sold to Mark Emery.
Fucking nice, man. Those were likely some of the same ones I got back in '98.
Yeah, that's exactly. So and now I've taken them in my hands. I don't know what they were when I got them because that information wasn't available back then. But we're about to breed the F8 right now. Nice. In our hands. But I also got 80s blueberry out of Oregon, and man, I think it's a superior plant in a lot of ways.
Ooh.
And again, that came to me via Paul Martin.
Yeah.
Scallywag Seeds gifted me with these. And you know what? Again, kind of like the Colombian Black, people give me stuff all the time. And I kind of stuck him over on the side of a field, right? Kind of out of view. And I ended up going, holy shit. When I went up and smelled them, like, what is this? And they have a lot of different characteristics in DJ's lines. They're clearly blueberries, but yeah, I really am impressed with them. And I actually crossed the males from that 80s blueberry onto a ChemDog Special Reserve cross root beer kush.
Ooh.
Yeah.
The ChemDog.
We got a question from Facebook from Mr. Paul Hartman. He asked, he's heard you might be growing at Castle Rock or Castle Black. Sorry.
I started at Castle Black.
Oh, okay.
But I left.
Oh, he left too. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Cool. No comment, Paul.
No comment from either one of them other than we left. We'll just leave it as we left.
So your Romulan that you have, did it come from the Kootenay Valley out in BC or from Kelowna?
No, it actually, our original Romulan years ago came from Romulan Joe. I actually got to know and meet Romulan Joe on the pot block way back in the early days.
Yeah.
That was the first Romulan I got. But the Romulan that's in my current work is Vic High's Romulan.
Vic High's Romulan. Okay,
yeah, rest in peace, Vic High.
Because I get Romulan every once in a while.
You gotta mute,
buddy.
buddy.
Of mine, but I can never get that Romulan that I had back in 2006. Just before Emery got busted and because he was an idiot and whatnot, I bought some seeds from him, and it was Romulan 7 of 9.
Okay, yeah. So that's Vic High's Romulan, man.
That's Vic High's. Okay, perfect.
Yeah. And it's still around. When I'm back in Canada, I can get you that cut for sure.
Oh man, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
That was another one that I found
back in Canada in July, Darcy.
Yeah, but that was another one of the strands that I could smoke, and my muscle spasms, my pain just went away.
You'd love my Rocket Man.
What?
So the Rocket Man is Romulan cross C99 cross Golden Temple Kush.
Have you got a suggestion for somebody with severe ADHD and mood disorder?
You know what? If they don't have, do they
Why
have
do you always
anxiety?
laugh when I say that, Marcel?
Do they have anxiety problems?
Yes.
Yeah, so with anxiety problems, I would probably recommend like the Acapulco Gold would be the most gentle, motivational sativa.
Okay.
It gets my synapses firing. It does the opposite of a couch lock for me. It gets me up, it gets me talking. It's quite motivational, and it doesn't have the edginess of, say, my Orange Pico Cambodians or my hazes. The Acapulco Gold is a very gentle one, man. And probably the 24 karat gold, which is Acapulco Gold cross Santa Marta Colombian Gold, would probably be a pretty safe bet. And
are they lower or higher THC?
They're going to be around the 17.
That's perfect.
Yep.
That's I've been experimenting with using when I go to the legal store, because there's one here in town. I get a 15 to 17 or so THC. I find that THC gets me thinking too much, and sometimes that can turn into a depression. The couch lock I don't like. Because that's the same feeling I get when I'm depressed. I don't like that. I've tried, what's it called? The indica from Grassroots is around, I think it's around 18. And it's I painted this office. Just, it got me up and going. And if I could find something that's going to do that on a regular basis, that I can change up. You need like 2 or 3. I can't just do it one strain. I can't do it. Right? Yeah. So I usually get 4 strains at a time, so that I have a change. And if something couch locks me, then I'll mix it with something else until I find a combination that I like, or I fall asleep.
Yeah, the king family, the pink family, probably wouldn't be a great one for you. But the 24 karat, any of those 2 plants together, which are both part of the original skunk, right? Acapulco Gold and Santa Marta Colombian Gold crossed to Afghani is the original skunk one.
Oh, I have that. Is that I was just going to say? So I have that. Okay.
Except the current skunk one that's being sold today. What the skunk one that's up today really has been kind of like homogenized towards the prohibition model. You know what I mean? So the sativa characteristics are less obvious. As where I have a strain called Skunk from Scratch, and we literally rebred Skunk one from heirlooms, but which would be a little bit faster flowering for you. But yeah, any of those particular core base strains that a lot of our genetics have been developed from, which is the Acapulco, the Santa Marta, those are actually pretty gentle and should be really motivational and not too sedative.
The sedative I don't like, but I also I think too much, so I have to be careful of that. Like a white widow, I call it angry weed. It's no good. I don't want anything to do with it. Have at it, enjoy. Not for me.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, Marcel?
Yeah?
I wonder what you would get if you took his Acapulco Gold and crossed it with a Cushman.
An Acapulco Cushman.
Well, no, just for a strain. Like I know you're definitely breeding way more sativa into it.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking it might take that Kush taste away, so you might actually like it.
That's what I'm thinking. Get rid of that Kush flavor.
I just added you on Facebook, by the way, Charles.
You'd have a heavy trichome producer.
Actually, speaking of heavy trichome producer, I want to hear about the.
I knew a stripper with that name.
King G strain.
The which?
King G.
Oh, so that's King. So we had a particular phenotype pop out of the King. So we did the King BX3 open pollination, and 90% of the plants were super homogeneous. We had 2 real structural phenotypes we called the King BX3-1 and the King BX3. One is a pole and one's multi-branching. We had another one that came out like 4% came out with this more, how can I explain it? Almost like resin edged leaves, almost like a white family look. And fewer pink pistils, but still some pink pistils, and a slightly more Afghan than Pakistani smell than is typical of the variety. And we actually crossed that with our G13 inbred line to sort of take a new line out of the King family, which is Pink Kush's parent, towards a hash plant type. It's really an interesting one. I'm just about to test a whole bunch of those right now. But
that'd be a dry sifter's dream.
Oh, absolutely. The King in and of itself is a dry sifter's dream. The whole line, but if you're more focused towards a more typical hash plant than a Kush type, I think
like hash.
The King G would be more of a typical hash plant line of King than the pure King, which is definitely a Kush type plant.
Good for pain.
Right.
Oh yeah, it's the most sedative strain in our collection without a doubt. The entire King line. If you don't have a strong tolerance, it'll knock you on your butt. Yeah, but
I like that at night. I like that. I generally like to have a morning, an afternoon, an evening, and a nighttime. Like literally, different times of the day. I literally have different pains at different times of the day. When I wake up, it's at its highest.
What kind of heights do you get out of the G King?
Oh, they're really short plants. Short, wide, multi-branching.
Oh, height. Okay.
So they'd be good. So they'd be good for doing a scrog in a tent.
Yeah. They'd be fine for doing a scrog. They're basically a typical hash plant type plant. Being that they're the Kings originally from Pakistan. The King G will be even a little bit more of a squat plant, but I mean the stretch on them is minimal. Basically, they're never going to more than double.
We got 7 minutes, guys.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So they'd still be good in a tent.
There's a whole bunch on that website, man. My poor credit card is going to take a shit kicking.
Hey, Marcel, I just want to. We've got just a few minutes left. And I want to make sure that you bring up the whole Quebec thing real quick because we didn't talk about that.
Yeah, we didn't do much on news, but one important piece of news is Quebec's Supreme Court ruling that came out that upheld that how do they put it? The Quebec's ban on homegrown cannabis plants is constitutional.
How they figure that out? That's the French version of constitutional,
right? Because Janik Murray Hall, Quebecer, took them to the court, basically doing a constitutional challenge.
I thought that would be struck down for sure, guys.
Yeah, me too. We all did. I think we all did.
Everybody did.
Yeah. Why do you think it was struck down, Marcel?
Well, they did it in it was a unanimous decision.
But why? What were the grounds?
Because it's fucking Quebec.
Okay.
I mean,
they were citing the black market. Black market concerns. They were citing black market concerns, but that's just bullshit. They want the monopoly.
Everybody can cite black market concerns. Every province in the country can cite black market concerns when it comes to people being able to grow 4 plants at home.
Do they have a medical program there?
Too, guys.
Quebec has different rules. Right?
Do they have a medical program?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't live there. I live here in
Ontario.
I
don't live there either, but I'm sure they have a medical program. But
okay.
I mean, even like when it comes to lotteries, they have different rules.
Yeah.
Than the rest of the country.
Okay.
So why this? It's Quebec. They They don't necessarily want to be the same as everybody else.
They're being difficult, just like with everything else in Montreal and Quebec.
Well, they don't make any money if you're growing at home either.
Right. But
do they have?
In the end, everyone's just going to grow at home anyway. No one's policing it.
But the other thing, well, in Quebec, they're still kind of policing that. But what they're not realizing it is if they're so concerned about organized crime, yada, 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 if you let people grow at home, they're buying a lot less from organized crime.
For sure.
FDLPs in Quebec are organized crime.
Well, yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, I feel bad for the people that live in Quebec.
Okay, so, Charles, we've only got a few more minutes, and I want to make sure that people know how to find you, get a hold of you, ask you questions, if you do that kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. We're on Scott Family Farm on Facebook, and there is www.scottfamily.farm. And anybody who's interested in wholesale can email Dan at scottfamily.farm. Any small seed vendors or anything, but the website is scottfamily.farm. And you guys can check us out on Facebook. And I'm pretty much on there every day. So any questions, you can get me in real time answering them.
Awesome. Appreciate you stopping by. You'll have to, we never have enough time. We could just keep going another 2 hours. But,
we'll definitely be getting them back.
Oh, yes, that's for sure. And I just added you on Facebook, so we'll talk after this.
Thanks so much for having me, guys.
You're very welcome.
Yeah.
Anytime you're bored and you want to sit in, let us know. And
I apologize for being rude, but it's 2-2 and 10 minutes left in the third.
All good, you guys. All right. Be blessed, guys. Okay.
How far are you in the series there?
Game 1.
Oh, wow.
But it's the number 1 team in the league they're playing.
Which is the Ontario team.
It's the OHL. The winner of the series is probably going to win the league.
So if they're playing the number 1 team in the league, then they were the last team.
They were number 4.
Oh, okay.
But Derek's they shouldn't have been number 4. They didn't play well, but they put it together now.
Oh, was that the result of the coaching staff?
No, the players they just didn't gel, and all of a sudden, last week of the season, they finally put it together. Put it this way, I feel bad for the number 1 team in the league having to play them in the second round.
Hey, what do you have to say about the decision the NBA has decided to scrap anything cannabis illegalness? They're allowing it. They're not testing for it anymore. Good. And Snoop Dogg decided to make an announcement inviting the NBA to come and buy his weed. I thought that was fucking awesome.
No, it's great.
Yeah. Yep.
I like it.
All right. Well,
Charles left. Yep. Darcy got out of doing the grow segment.
Yep.
Good. Anyway,
there's always next week.
You guys have a nice week.
All right, Len. Thanks.
Yeah,
you've been listening to the 420 Radio Show, and we out of here. Say goodnight.
Good night. Hey. Sorry for coughing in your ear.
Oh God, that was so loud.
Yeah, but.
So what are you doing? Nothing? Why not?
Trying to get on this Lifestyle Radio website.
Sounds like a cool website.
Yeah, it's alright. Oh, wait, I might have it.
You might have it.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
The opinions expressed during this show are those of the individual participants and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of their associated organizations or Lifestyle Radio.
We are the Cannabis Broadcasting Group here at CBGTV.com.